Okay, Frank Lampard is making headlines at the minute, getting some good results at Chelsea. It's been a very positive start to top-end management. And it's interesting because I think Lampard, early impressions, is very misunderstood as a coach. I think people are, because he's not a big philosophy man and he doesn't come in with a set way of playing, I think that a lot of people don't really understand him as a manager and what type of manager he's going to be. I think this is where myers-briggs can really help, and personality typing in general, because I think there's a great example in Christian Pulisic's hat-trick at the weekend and Lampard's comments after the game. I think that there's real clues there about what type of manager he is. This was something I looked at quite closely in the summer. I wanted to know what type of manager Lampard was. And I went back through lots of interviews he'd done with Sky Sports and things like that. There was one in particular with Jeff Shreves, which I considered very revealing. And he basically talked about the managers he played for at Chelsea previously. And interestingly enough, the manager who he cited as the one he'd like to emulate wasn't Jose Mourinho, as you'd maybe expect. It was Carlo Ancelotti. And the reason why he wanted to emulate Ancelotti as a manager is because of his human relationships with individuals and the way that he understood the mindset of each individual player, and connected with them all on a one-by-one basis. Now, this is one of the four decision-making processes: introverted feeling. I've talked about this before in previous videos, the difference between thinking and feeling. Thinking's very logic-based. It doesn't take, emotions and how decisions impact on people is only one small piece of the puzzle. Whereas for feeling managers in general, it's all about how your decisions impact other people and what's best for them in the long run, or what's best for the group in the long run. That's when you pass it out into extroverted feeling and introverted feeling. Extroverted feeling's about the group culture, whereas introverted feeling's about individuals and individual expression. And this is very much what Lampard's all about. He wants to connect with all of his players on a one-by-one basis and understand their own motivations and where they come from, their own background story and things like that. And he spoke after the game, after Pulisic's hat-trick at Turf Moor at the weekend. He talked about the process, the summer he's been through, the fact that he only had 1 week's rest because he was with the American national team, the pressure on his shoulders of being such a big star, nicknamed Captain America, the fact that he comes with a big transfer fee on his neck, round his neck, from his move from Borussia Dortmund and the money that he costs. All of these things have played into Lampard's thinking of how to deal with Pulisic and why he's not given him many minutes so far this season. And people were beginning to ask questions about when's this guy going to get a chance. And it's all, well thought through by Lampard of what's best for the player himself. He will have been speaking on a daily basis almost with the player, understanding how he's feeling and, when will be the right time to drop him in. And then you see him score that hat-trick at Burnley, and you have to say that Lampard's played this one to a T. He's timed it absolutely perfectly. And this is the thing why I think he suits Chelsea as a club as well. Not just the fact that he's bringing through all of these youth players, but I think he's in touch. When people say about, he knows the club and he's played for the club and all of this, but if you look back through all the different managers that have been hit and miss, we'll put Jose Mourinho to one side for a moment, because he was the right superstar coach to come in at the right time and catapult Chelsea into elite status from where they were. Everybody needs a manager that just really sort of takes a grip of a club like that. But managers that have been successful since, you're only really talking Carlo Ancelotti and Antonio Conte, both of whom were introverted feeling managers, both of whom connected with players on an individual level and basically got the best out of them. Chelsea's always been this club that's got this, a reputation of having a very difficult dressing room to manage and a bit too much player power at times. But this is something where Lampard can excel. This is something he wants to work on. He's talked about it in previous interviews before becoming a manager, and it's something he illustrated excellently at Derby last season. That the way he managed Mason Mount and Tomori and all of these players Harry Wilson from Liverpool. The way he managed them, they were, for such young players, had such level-headed approach throughout the campaign, and always stepped up in big moments and in big matches, more than you would expect of players of that age and of such inexperience. And I think this is down to Lampard's understanding of these players and connecting with them on their level, not expecting them to be something that they're not yet, but also identifying them and giving them a path and saying, I've been through all of this. I understand exactly what you're going through. I understand exactly where you should be at this point in your development. Just trust me, you're going to be okay in my hands. And I think we're seeing this. Different players are stepping up at different times, but there's so much ability in that Chelsea dressing room. And I think Lampard's talent is going to be really tapping into each individual, and they'll all step up at different times. But I think we'll see a season that at some stage that they're all stepping up consistently enough for the whole, Chelsea as a whole, to benefit from different players at different times. It's Pulisic at the weekend. It's been Tammy Abraham before now, Mason Mount as well. There's just so many players there who can step up, and Lampard, in his rotation and in how he manages the players and when he takes them out of the firing line and when he puts them in and thinks they're ready, I think that's basically that's going to be where he's going to excel this season as Chelsea manager and going forward. And I think it's fascinating to see. I don't think he's a philosophy manager at all. I don't think he's got a set way of playing. He very much adapts to what he's got at his disposal. He's got vast tons of experience. So whereas a lot of he uses extroverted sensing as a learning style, and whereas a lot of extroverted sensing managers don't necessarily have the tools in their box, to come up with the right formations or the right systems at the right times. Lampard's got tons of experience, very much got a growth mindset throughout his career, so was always learning, has picked up so many tricks down the years. So he's not got this philosophy and this set way of playing that Chelsea are always going to play. He's just always going to look to bring the best out of his individual talents, and which individual talent that might be for any particular day or any particular game, it can change from week to week. And I think in that respect, Chelsea can also become quite elusive and difficult to nail down and prepare for, because you don't really know what you're going to get from one week to the next. So it's been a very interesting start to the season, very interesting start to Frank Lampard at top level management. And I thought this in the summer, and I still think this now. I think he's here to stay. I think he is going to prove himself to be the real deal.